Last week, I drove the Acura Integra Type S and I thoroughly enjoyed driving that. The grip, the nimbleness, the agility, the handling, the exhaust sounds all just made that car such a driver's car. Now the Integra Type S shares the same platform as the Civic Type R, which is exactly what I have here today in championship white. So we're gonna go through the exterior, interior, go for a drive, and then check out what are the main differences between this and the Integra Type S. So let's get started. Look, I know I said that I was a big fan of how the Integra Type S looks, and I still am, but this takes the cake for me. The FL5 doesn't have the fender flare lines that the Integra Type S has, which in my opinion looked a little bit tacked on, nor does it look as aggressive as the FK8 Type R. It still retains extremely wide fender arches in the front and wide quarter panel fender arches in the rear, as well as a big spoiler wing. I think this just looks spectacular, especially in this white, red, and black color combination. Here in Canada, the 2024 Honda Civic Type R is going to set you back about 53,000 Canadian dollars, but that's only if you wait very patiently on a very long waiting list. If you want one right now, you're going to have to turn to the slightly used market, which at the time of filming is going to set you back around 65 grand. This is a Honda Civic Type R, so obviously there's a lot of emphasis on the powertrain. So under the hood is a K20C1 engine, which is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder inline 4-cylinder engine that puts out 315 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 310 pound-feet of torque between 2,600 and 4,000 RPM. The engine is mated to a 6-speed manual transmission to the front wheels only, and you also get a helical limited slip differential for the front wheels. In terms of mechanicals, the Honda Civic Type R uses a dual-axis McPherson strut up front and a multi-link setup in the rear. It's also got adaptive dampers, which during the drive we're going to find out if it's too stiff or not. In terms of wheels and tire setup, the Type R uses 19 by 9.5 inch alloy rims, and they're paired to Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires that are 265 wide all around. It's also got 4-piston Brembo brakes up front and a single piston caliper in the rear. Lastly, in terms of curb weight, the Civic Type R weighs in at about 1,447 kilos, which is just under 3,200 pounds. All right, let's go for a drive and then we'll talk about the rest of the car. The first thing I noticed driving this compared to the Integra Type S is the throttle response. If the engine is in plus R mode, it is very impressive, especially for a turbocharged car. Just hear this. Not bad at all. The Civic Type R doesn't give you the pops and bangs like the Integra does, but instead it gives you a lot of the whooshing sounds from the blow-off valve. Not sure if you guys can hear that, but when I let off after, fully depressing the throttle, the blow-off valve sounds fantastic. The Type R also has 5 less horsepower compared to the Integra Type S, But really, I don't think I notice any of the difference. It is still a very, very powerful front-wheel drive car. The transmission is the same one you get in the Integra Type S. It is notchy, it feels good, but in Type R you get a metal shift knob, which looks cool and feels better in my opinion compared to the Type S. But on a hot, searing day, it really does burn your hands a little bit. You gotta be very, maybe put on a glove or put a sock over it before driving or something like that. The clutch also feels good. It has a relatively short travel and it is easy to modulate. Oh yeah, and you do get these cool shift lights if you reach red line, which is extra cool. All right, plus R mode, let's talk about the handling. The Type R is unbeatable in corners. It feels so planted and so grippy. Oh, wow. The limited slip differential just pulls you out of corners like none others. It's fantastic. Because we're in plus R mode right now, the suspension is pretty stiff, which in my opinion is too harsh for daily driving. But you can actually put the suspension into comfort, like how I've set it up in individual here, with plus R as engine, sport as steering, and then comfort in suspension. And to be honest, that actually feels better than you think. It's fairly tolerable for day-to-day driving. Now with that said, if you want the suspension setup in, or the damper setup in the Integra Type S, you could actually just swap out the damper module, so something to note there. Alright, let's dial it down and talk a little bit about tech. Now despite this being an absolute track monster, you will still get things like parking sensors, blind spot warning, as well as adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. The lane keep assist doesn't work until you reach above 70 or so kilometers an hour, and the adaptive cruise control of course doesn't work at low speeds because this is a manual transmission. In terms of fuel economy, I really haven't noticed much difference compared to the Integra Type S, despite having the big spoiler in the rear. On the highway it still does about 7 liters per 100 kilometers, and in the city 9 to 10 if you drive it gently, which you won't, so I've been averaging about 12 liters per 100 kilometers, which all things considered for a vehicle of this caliber is absolutely amazing. One thing that makes this interior so special are these red carpets. There aren't very many other cars that have them. And in combination with the super supportive red bucket seats and the red Honda badging on the steering wheel, it really just adds to the entire Type R experience. Now you don't get heated steering wheel, nor do you get heated seats, but you still get a set of Bose sound system, which in my opinion it feels like it's a little bit superior to the set that you get in the Civic Si, but is lagging behind the ELS system in the Integra Type S. In terms of infotainment, you get a 9-inch system that is the same unit as most of the other higher trim Civics, but in here you get the LogR app, which shows you a bunch of cool information about the car, like oil temperature, oil pressure, boost pressure, G-forces, tire loading, so on and so forth. For the instrument cluster, you also get a fully digital screen, but here you get a plus R specific gauge design, which looks very cool. The rear seats are comfortable and spacious. I also get this nice Type R badging in front of me, and looking towards these super sporty bucket seats, it's very cool. I get more headroom compared to the Integra Type S, but just like the Integra Type S, I still don't have a fifth seat or middle seat here, nor do I get an armrest. I also wish that there's a little bit more red sprinkled in the rear seats, just like the fronts. To sum up, the FL5 Civic Type R brings the most amount of performance and the most amount of refinement to all Civic Type Rs to date. And despite not having some creature comfort features and having a harsh ride, people are still lining up to get them, and for good reason. The Civic Type R heritage is unmatched, and it really is a track monster. This is the ultimate front-wheel drive performance car. It is a little bit of a pity that I didn't get a chance to take this on track, but nonetheless, what do you guys think about this vehicle? Would you get one? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.